coming to the smart bikes concept, such a hit, but how inclusive are they, considering the fact that the person who uses it should have a mobile application, and then the instructions are not in regional languages, I observed.
I think it's Tamil is there, right? I think so. Tamil is there.
I do not.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, point taken. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to, the only payment mode is through debit card, I suppose.
So you have to, this is first of all, a smart bike hasn't succeeded in many places, right? So even we are actually pleasantly surprised how popular it is.
Yes.
Because it is not a, first of all, it's a cutting edge project, whether it's in China or in some other part of the world, it's a very cutting edge project. They've tried out different models, some have barely succeeded, some have totally failed. So we are keeping our fingers crossed because the response has been amazing. Okay, for a warm, hot, humid city like Chennai, even I was skeptical. There are a lot of people who would actually say, what kind of fools would think of cycling in Chennai? What are you talking about, right? Now the whole thing has flipped, where not only is the current bikes successful, very soon we are introducing e-bikes which will have accelerators, a tiny bit of motor which will help you push through. So even a person going to office should be able to do it without sweating too much and so on. Yeah, we expected that to be also very popular. But this issue of the fact that only certain people with certain handheld etc. can be used, we are very well aware of it. We figured let it stabilize, and we have had this conversation with the smart bike team. Can we start exploring other modes of payment, other modes of taking the bike? The problem is this, right? Bike has a GPS, bike is geofenced, so you can take it from here, drop it off there, etc. Now the bike, it's an expensive bike, it's not cheap. Okay, so if you were to take the bike, there has to be some mechanism for you to know that who took the bike, and so that once it stabilizes, and I'm sure technology can help. I'm sure various vision cards, Aadhaar cards, etc. probably is helpful. Taking cash, for example, adds to the complexity and the cost. So we need somebody standing there to collect cash, or there could be, I'm sure, if you put a cash collection mechanism, then you'll have to put a added cost and so on. What are we doing cycle sharing for? It's for improving last mile connectivity, leisure activity, etc. Right? So obviously it is in our interest as a social interest and environmental interest to say, can we expand it to as many number of people as possible, right? So we are very aware of it, and as cheaper and sustainable mechanisms are possible, absolutely we will try. Try to ensure that can people take cycles without smartphone, etc. But at the same time make sure that the cycle is safe, feasibility and all. We are aware of it, but it's not an easy problem to crack, but we will try.
Great. So the e-bikes concept is really interesting. Could you tell us more about it?
So it's like this, as you pedal, it's got a battery, so battery and motor, so it kind of helps you cycle faster, right? Not faster, but effort is that it goes up to some speed, and so you use only 30% of the effort compared to a normal cycle. So imagine you are in OMR, you're going to work, you got out of MRTS, and you really want to help the environment or just exercise and so on. This is a very good option. When you're leisuring, going up and down, you may not mind cycling, but which means since it's electric and it goes up to I think 20 odd kilometers per hour, you can go much further down, compared to a regular cycle, and not have to clog the road, not have to take your own car and so on. So we are really looking forward to it because we assume it's going to be a big hit.
When can we expect it, and how many cycles?
See, totally we are this or that bike. The initial tender is about 5,000 cycles in 500 locations. Right? We are reaching 1,000 cycles and about 100 locations.
Okay.
We are already there. Or within a few days we'll reach. So the first thing was we've connected all the metro rail with cycles, and metro rail has been really supportive, of giving us space and so on. So the idea is that let metro rail benefit from it, and let the cycle benefit from it. Then we have started expanding to Ananagar Tower and feeder station, college, mall, and so on and so forth. Now with e-bike we'll even put even more stations. By middle of Feb we should be deploying the e-bikes. How many is the sky's the limit, depends on the demand from the public. Obviously, we'll try to reach 5,000 for sure,
Mm.
but I don't think anything stops. If the demand is 10,000, if it is feasible, nothing stops us from deploying.
Okay. You mentioned about parking management. Parking management system is also one of the focal points of Smart City Initiative. Where are we in this regard?
So, in another 2-3 months, the MLCP, the multi-level car park in T Nagar, will be functional, right? So you go
Great.
park your car, the car goes up somewhere, and you come back and present your token or whatever, and it comes down in 90 seconds, right? So that was one of the piece of a bigger puzzle of the plaza. So the idea is that you can literally do valet parking. Imagine if you treat plaza as a mall.
Yeah.
You can park, take either park and cycle, park and take that shuttle back and forth, park and walk, or you can get dropped somewhere and the car can go and get parked, and you come back, call the car, car comes back. So things which you assume happens in a foreign country could happen in another few weeks. But more importantly, I think the Tamil Nadu government is very interested in ensuring that roads are not used for parking. Cars are pushed out, right? So that roads are have better use for it. So there is an ambitious project Government of Tamil Nadu has asked us to look into, is to see off-street parking. Can we create enough multi-level, above ground, below ground, whatever it may be, depending on the location and technology, so that we can accommodate cars instead of clogging the road, put them in structures, right? So that project is just starting now. The other thing is, very critically, you need to be able to control the cars on the road, meaning the parked cars. So today there's total chaos, right? You take a fancy car, throw it on the side of the road, nobody charges anything, 0 rupees. Not only is it bad for city pollution, traffic chaos and so on, but it's also a loss in revenue. So we are in the process of implementing what could be one of the largest parking management systems in the world, where we are using camera, analytics, etc. to keep, basically you as a citizen, through an app, you can figure out, okay, you went to Ananagar 2nd Avenue, near Naidu Hall or Sarana Bhavan, there's a 3rd slot available, please go park, right? So that information is available. Plus all electronic payment. So you can either pay through your app, or when you go park there, the camera picks it up and alerts the attender. He or she comes and says, pay, gets paid. This is what typically people in other cities may do through older technology like meters and so on. Here we have kind of leapfrogged and saying no need meter, right? Let's go directly to app and electronics, digital way. That is in the process of getting deployed. Already in T Nagar and all, they have been functioning for some time. So slowly that will also get put in other parts of the city. So there are bigger pieces to the parking puzzle, and hopefully one day we should be able to, once we have good data of parking and demand and supply and so on, we should be able to start doing like what advanced countries do, right? A peak hour in a very high demand area, the price is higher. In some places the price is lower. So people can decide, okay, I'll park here and walk. If you really want to go right in front of the store, you have to pay higher. Like in the mall, for example, you want to park right next to a fancy store, you have to pay a huge amount. Or you go underground and park, and so on. So these systems exist in advanced cities. We don't have anything. We are trying to put those pieces in place. And remember, this parking is a hugely important project for public transport to succeed. Free parking is the enemy of public transport. That's every good city knows this. So think of all these pieces as a piece of a bigger puzzle, not as bits and pieces.